Now, let us say a very good morning and a very happy Easter to Lee Anderson. Lee, how you doing?
How you doing, Mike? Thanks for having me on once again.
Not at all. Very, very pleased to see you because you are one of the many people that we like to talk to who exude common sense, Lee. Now, talk to me about this COVID vaccine passport situation. I note that you're not one of the signatories to the letter that the MPs have written, but what's your view on it all?
Yeah, I mean, I did get asked to sign a letter, and I said to my colleagues, I need to have a good think about this because I think this is something I'm totally against. By the way,
yeah.
COVID passports. I don't believe it's the right way. It's a slippery slope, and it can lead to all sorts of problems in not just the near future, in 10, 15, 20 years' time. You know, we become a total nanny state. But that said, we have a problem, I think, with this because I think there's a lot of the general public actually support this idea. And it's very divisive, and that's where the problem is. So I've only had a conversation with colleagues in Parliament, not actually had a conversation with government about this yet. So I shall be making my views known and letting government know that I am against this. I think it infringes on our civil liberties. I think it's going a little bit too far. But let's see what the PM has to say on Monday or Tuesday, whenever it is. I don't know what he's going to say about it. And I've got an open mind at the moment, but from a personal point of view, I'm dead against it.
I mean, I was listening this morning to a hospitality professional talking about how expensive it was going to be apart from anything else. Because if you've got a pub and you need to put somebody on the door of that pub to check whether somebody's got a vaccine passport, he reckons that's going to cost around about £40,000 to £45,000 a year because they do it 7 days a week.
Yeah, it's a massive cost to the hospitality industry. And also, Matt, you know what the scammers and the fakers are like. You know, within 10 minutes of this being produced, this whatever it is on your iPhone or your smartphone, somebody will have discovered a way to get something on your phone that looks like you've got a pass. So it could actually have a negative impact. So we need to think, long and hard before we introduce this sort of system.
I think so. I mean, a lot of people were very happy when they saw what was going on in Barcelona the other day when they had a massive concert for 5,000 people. All of those people were wearing masks. They were all tested before they went in. I think people would go with that more than they would with an actual vaccination type passport. Because let's face it, if you're under 50 right now, you haven't had the vaccine. And if you're 20 or 30, you're probably not going to get the vaccine till the back end of the summer. So why should you not be allowed to go in anywhere?
Well, yeah, exactly right, mate. It looks like coercion, and it's going to affect the younger age groups. The people that probably value their liberty a little bit more than us old fogies. The people that want to get out there, watch sporting events, watch concerts, get out there and have a few pints with their friends. They're the ones that sort of being coerced into having a vaccination. And it doesn't sit too comfortably with me, actually.
I mean, the only thing I would say, Lee, is if you're an England rugby fan, you'd probably be quite happy not being forced to watch England playing at the moment until they get a decent team and a decent coach back again, because they were dreadful during the old Six Nations. But enough about that. Let's talk about the lockdown in general, Lee, because obviously you guys are in the Easter recess at the moment. What are you hopeful of next week when we're going to hear about travel plans, possibly some kind of traffic light system? Obviously, we're looking forward very much to opening the pubs and the restaurants on the 12th of April. We're hoping that you might be able to join us in our pub here when we do a show a week on Monday. And that's going to make a massive difference to so many businesses.
Oh, massively, Matt. I mean, look, I'm chomping at the bit. I can't wait to get down to London, to that Witherspoons, to meet you for a pint in the beer garden on the 12th of April. I've not been to the bar for about 6 months.
Right.
Your producers told me it's about 6 years for you, so you can get that in your pocket.
Well, listen, I don't mind. Listen, if the trouble is people keep buying me drinks, Lee. I can't, it's hard for me to catch up.
So, it's a full English and a pint of smooth for me, please, Mike. But seriously, I mean, people, they can see the way out now. They can see the roadmap. They're a little bit excited. I'm excited. And the local publicans in Ashfield and Eastwood, where I represent, they're very excited. They're getting geared up. The gazebos are out now in the gardens. They're painting the benches. They're getting their umbrellas up. They're really looking forward to it. And I hope we can kick off on the 12th, and it'd be a great success for our local hospitality businesses.
Yeah, I think so, because it does seem as though, despite what's going on in Europe, it does seem as though we're on the tail end of this thing now, doesn't it?
Yeah, I think we're on the front foot. 30 million people vaccinated. The infection rates are down. The hospital admissions are down. The deaths are down, thank goodness. And it looks like finally, after a year, the UK is the place to be.
Absolutely right. I mean, you wouldn't want to be in Germany right now or France, where the vaccine rollout has been pitiful, for want of a better word. But let's talk about another area of your interest, Lee, because you've been very hot on the heels of Priti Patel, putting pressure on her to initiate a better system of stopping these migrant boats from coming across. I'm seeing a story today in which it says 192% more migrants have headed across the Channel this year so far, and if that continues, we're going to have 25,000. Migrants who will have come across in boats for 2021, which is a huge number. And frankly, we were talking to Nigel Farage about this last week. Her new plan, it doesn't really seek to stop any of that.
Well, I'm not sure about that, Mike. I mean, we've not read the full detail of the plan yet. What it does do is it makes it very difficult for illegal immigrants. Let's remember, these are illegal migrants coming up the Channel. They're not actual bona fide asylum seekers, because if there was, they wouldn't be leaving France. I don't know how many French people are on them boats. Probably none. They're all from thousands and thousands of miles away. But what this new bill, this new act does do is stop asylum seekers or illegal immigrants claiming asylum if they've already passed through a safe country. Now, that itself, I think, is a deterrent. Once we get that in place, once we make it impossible for them to claim asylum, once we start deporting them within 24 hours, then they'll stop coming.
Yes, I think that's absolutely right. And there really isn't any other way of doing that, just apart from just getting on with and doing it, isn't it?
Yeah, I know. Because of COVID, we've had these problems over the past year. The parliamentary process has been slowed down. This should have been in Parliament last year, but we've had all these problems. It is frustrating, Mark. It winds me up. We're being taken advantage of, but it needs a change in the law. We need to give the left a chance in Parliament to have a whinge and moan about it. That'll be very revealing. Yeah, I can't wait to get that debated.
No, quite. I mean, the thing that Nigel Farage said was that the problem for us at this moment in time is that there is still a legal get-out clause for these characters and their lawyers, because we're still party to the European Court of Human Rights.
Yeah, we are. I think we need our own Bill of Rights in this country. That's something that me and the Common Sense Group talk about on a regular basis. Things are happening. We've introduced the crime and sentencing, the police bill. We've got the new asylum secure borders bill coming. Lots of things are happening in Parliament, but it takes ages. Like I said before, it's a very slow process, but we're getting there, Mike.
Yes, I saw a document actually yesterday, which I don't think is particularly confidential, suggesting that you guys in Parliament might be back to what would be regarded as normal in terms of populating the chamber sometime in May.
Well, I hope so. I mean, we've been banging on about this for months now. It sends out, the wrong message when people at home see the green benches almost empty, very sparse, and yet we're telling people to go to work, go to school, empty our bins and the like. But at the end of the day, that's down to the Speaker of the House. It's his decision. We have to abide by the rules like anybody else does in the workplace. But we're putting pressure on. I want to see them green benches full. And I want us to restore democracy as soon as possible.
Absolutely right. Now, the other big story of the week, Lee, that I want to touch upon is this race report which came out the other day, which I've never seen so many people on the left side of politics so disappointed to be told that Britain is not institutionally racist. You can barely get to hear anything other than the screaming coming from them.
Well, look, I've not read the report, Mike, but if David Lammy is against it, then I'm all for it. He is my political compass. If he walks north, I'm walking south.
Right.
But, seriously, I believe that this is it's an evidence-based report which has found, there is racism in our society. We all know that, but we're not institutionally racist in the UK. We need to stop this nonsense. 99% of this country just want to crack on with living their normal everyday lives and not be bogged down with this wokery, this nonsense. They couldn't give a toss, especially the people in Ashfield and Eastwood. Stop this nonsense. Yeah. Let's get on with it.
Yeah, people want to get back to work. They want to get back to watching football. They want to get back to going down the pub. They want to get back to playing football, some of them. And it's all just about, taking more time to kind of, they're almost like masochistic against their own country, some of these people.
I don't know what the problem is, Mike. The mind boggles. If these people hate our country so much and our heritage, our history, our culture and everything that goes with it, and I tell you what, there's some spare dinghies at Dover. Go and get one of them and go to France.
Yeah, see how you like it there. See how you like it in France, because France is a very, very different country to us. Incredibly, Emmanuel Macron now goes around saying that he knows more about epidemiology than any of the scientists. There are people who buy into this ridiculous European Union idea that they can basically bully anyone in Europe that they feel like bullying. And it's an extraordinary state of affairs, isn't it?
Well, it is. I think the mask has slipped on Macron. He's a spent force, and other leaders in Europe have been revealed for what they really are through this pandemic. With the vaccine rollout in the UK, a massive success. They're being spiteful and petty and putting their own people's lives at risk just to score political points. Quite frankly, they should be ashamed, some of them.
I mean, in terms of the Tory party lead at the moment, you must be dancing in the streets because no matter what Boris Johnson does, whether good or bad, and I don't agree with everything that he's done over the past few weeks, poor old Keir Starmer can't get anywhere near him.
Well, I've just been reading my latest book, Mark. I don't know if you can see this. It's a great read. I'll bring it down on the 12th of April. It's all about hindsight.
Oh, yeah.
But seriously, I think Sir Keir has got a big problem here, a real big problem. He cannot connect with the left or the centre right of his party. And you know what, I've said it before. I think somewhere in Islington there is an uprising at the moment. There's going to be a shed door open very shortly. That the pots of jam will be thrown away. And we might see the real leader of the Labour Party return.
Yes. Well, I mean, the trouble is you don't actually know any longer what the Labour Party stands for. The only place they seem to gain any kind of foothold was Putney in West London, which is not normally known as a place that's full of radical socialists, really. And yet up in the north of England and areas like where you won your seat, Lee, the working class people of those parts of the country have completely been deserted by Labour.
Well, they have, and I see this week, or over the past few weeks, they're trying to rebrand themselves as the party of law and order. Now, we know that's nonsense. We saw in December in the debate where it took part in about deporting foreign criminals. Every single Labour MP that stood up and spoke was against it. They said it was cruel, it was inhumane, to deport murderers and rapists. And over the last 6 months, Mark, there's been 14 leading Labour politicians that have either been arrested, jailed, investigated, or under investigation. So, crime is rife in the Labour Party at the moment. They stand need.
Yes, exactly right. And, I mean, obviously, we can't get into the ins and outs of the local elections and everything that's going on because we're in an election period. We're in a bit of purdah. But Hartlepool, we can talk about is a by-election going on up there. That's going to be interesting, isn't it? Because if Labour don't hold that for whatever reason, that could be a bad thing for Sir Keir Starmer.
Well, this is a real test, Mike, of Sir Keir's leadership. He needs to win this seat, and he needs to win it convincingly, because this is the Labour heartland, remember. He's been the leader, for a year now. He's not really had a test. He's been an awful opposition leader. He's not tested government at all. He's weak at the dispatch box. Let's see how the Labour Party brand holds up in its heartlands. I predict it's going to be very close.
Yes, absolutely right. And Easter weekend, what you got planned, Lee, if anything?
I'm doing a little bit of casework today for my constituents, and then I'm going for a walk in the forest later, and I might have a few beers tomorrow. And Monday, I don't know, Mike. Probably be listening to the Mike Graham Show.
Excellent. Well, I'll be working on Monday, as you can imagine. I don't take bank holidays off. Lee Anderson, thank you very much indeed. A Conservative MP for Ashfield, of course, a man who speaks an awful lot of common sense, and he does it like we do here at the Independent Republic, with his tongue occasionally in his cheek, if he wants to make fun of something, particularly like his History of Hindsight book. I'd like to have a look at that and see which page Keir Starmer appears on. You can probably tell me once the book's come out, because he only looks backwards rather than forwards, doesn't he?